James Hetfield is seated alone in a leather armchair within a tranquil room, distant from the glare of the brilliant stage lights. He is grasping a guitar pick between his thumb and forefinger. At 61 years of age, Metallica's co-founder and lead vocalist bears the burden of 4 decades of weighty music and a lifetime of memories from the band's formative years. This afternoon, his gaze falls upon a framed photograph of Metallica from their earlier years. In a modest rehearsal space, Hetfield, Lars Ulrich, Dave Mustaine, and Ron McGovern were gathered closely around a single microphone. The image depicts the innate ambition of teenagers striving to create an innovative sound, despite uncertainty regarding how their lives may be transformed. This morning, Hetfield consented to discuss a significant relationship within the band, namely his friendship and subsequent separation with Dave Mustaine, who was formerly the band's lead guitarist and later founded Megadeth. It is a narrative that is shared among members of the metal community. There were scarcely any essential guitar solos due to his volatile temperament. Teenagers gathered to perform music late into the night, as well as the unexpected gunfire that temporarily severed Dave's connection to Hetfield's life, at least for the time being. However, now that Hetfield is 61 years old and has accumulated considerable experience, he addresses the subject from a different perspective than he might have in his 30s or 40s. His voice maintains a consistent tone of awareness regarding past events, demonstrating accountability for errors committed during adolescence and opting for rehabilitation rather than resentment. He states, "Dave was like family, running his fingers along the body of the guitar. I felt as though I had lost a brother when I lost him, but sometimes you must confront your own fears before you can face those shared with others." During rehearsals in early 1981, Hetfield recalls that Mustaine's rapid riffs and his own rhythmic chugs complemented each other effectively, contributing to the creation of Metallica's initial songs. He would arrive with great intensity. James beams and meticulously files his fingernails with the same concentration he once dedicated to solitary reflections. They chuckled at the scrolls of lyric pages affixed to the walls of the shed. They consumed inexpensive beer until dawn while headphones emitted music by Motorhead. However, as the band's responsibilities increased, Mustaine's wrath occasionally manifested as instability. Individuals engaged in physical altercations and made inappropriate remarks. Hetfield states that musicians and crew members would reluctantly recount incidents of intense disputes that could be heard in the vacant corridors, where guitar cables were torn and drum kits were overturned. Hetfield never questioned Mustaine's proficiency, however. He understood that if Dave's wrath was not properly managed, it could result in adverse consequences for him. Hetfield and Lars Ulrich faced a difficult decision when it became necessary to part ways with Mustaine. In 1983, they conducted a tour. Owing to ongoing performances and recording deadlines, schedules are deteriorating. Dave's substance abuse and intense wrath were beginning to impede the band's ability to collaborate effectively. Hetfield discusses it in the dimly lit back room of a Texas club. The ensemble was gathered around a solitary work light, and their voices were subdued yet intelligible. James states that it appeared as though someone had intervened. Dave needed to achieve sobriety, or otherwise we would be unable to maintain our relationship. Mustaine's instrument case was on the ground a few minutes later, and he had vanished, expelled in an instant. Hetfield states, "We believed we were acting in the best interest of everyone, but upon leaving, I thought I would never speak to him again." Subsequently, Hetfield composed and recorded their debut album, Kill Them All, incorporating rage into the riffs and sorrow into the lyrics. However, behind the scenes, Hetfield was grappling with feelings of sorrow and remorse. He had lost a comrade, but the band was progressing well. Megadeth's debut album, Killing Is My Business and Business Is Good, was a reaction from Mustaine, who was residing in exile. It was both assertive and technically commendable. Fans promptly drew comparisons between the two bands, commending Metallica's powerful compositions and Megadeth's intricate technical intensity. The sibling rivalry intensified both individuals and left an enduring mark on their collective history. Now, many years later, Hetfield states that he would have endeavored to contact the musician had he been younger. "I was excessively elated." He states that pride has transformed into interest as I have grown older. "I aim to demonstrate that I could accomplish it independently of him." He reviewed Mustaine's interviews, observed how his death had transformed, and noted how Mustaine forgave him when Metallica invited him to be a guest on their programs. That required considerable bravery, Hetfield states, his eyes gleaming with admiration. I observe an individual who has consistently aspired to be a member of a larger family. Hetfield aims to convey the same message this evening. This occasion, conveyed through the language most familiar to both men, powerful chords and intricate passages. When James Hetfield reflects upon those initial years, he does not merely recall them. He perceives them as unrefined fragments of his character, instances molded by both artistic enthusiasm and internal conflict. He states, "We were young and passionate when we discovered that music could consume one's entire being." Dave Mustaine was both the catalyst and the victim of that fervor. Hetfield recalls how tense the atmosphere was during rehearsals when Mustaine would consistently increase his amplifier to maximum volume, perform a series of notes, and then retreat into a haze of frustration. Hetfield recalls that Dave struck his instrument against the wall one evening due to missing a riff. That fury fueled our compositions, yet it also endangered them. The similarity in their origin stories stems from the fact that both individuals are characterized by brilliance and instability. Following Mustaine's departure in 1983, the conflict among the Sonic siblings intensified further. Hetfield states that he observed as Mustaine transformed his fury into Megadeth's characteristic intensity, resulting in iconic albums such as Peace Sells, but whose buying and rest in peace. Hetfield states that he was pleased of his actions. However, I also envied his technical independence. For many years, the two bands circled each other like combatants in a gladiatorial arena, exchanging acclaim from critics and delivering pointed criticisms. Fans, record executives, and journalists perpetuated the rivalry narrative and urged the public to draw comparisons. Which ensemble demonstrated greater strength? Which primary vocalist appears more authentic? Which competitor demonstrates greater skill? He became weary of constant surveillance. He says, "We got stuck in a loop where our personal fight turned into the marketing campaign for the whole business." That loop wasn't broken by Hetfield and Mustaine for decades. Disaster was what set them off. In 2003, Mustaine had a life-changing event when he became addicted to alcohol and had to stop meth shows. Hetfield, who was on tour with Metallica at the time, heard the news and felt bad for the person. He says in a soft voice, "I saw myself in Dave's struggles." Without making a fuss, Hetfield texted Mustaine, "I'm here if you ever need to talk." Mustaine replied with a cautious, "Thank you." Hetfield says that those two words were the real turning point. The moment they realized they were both people, not just musical rivals. When they met again in person for the first time, they didn't play riffs or trade guitar fireworks. Instead, they met in a hotel bar in Midtown, away from the cameras and people. They were honest about the past. While drinking 2 glasses of whiskey, they talked about talent that was too raw for young hearts, words that cut deeper than guitar strings, and pride that kept them from seeing each other's pain. "We cried over lost time," Hetfield says, and toasted to making new memories. By the end of the night, they had made a loose peace agreement to accept each other's paths and return to share a stage one day. That day came in 2011 at the Big Four show in India, California, where Metallica, Megadeth, Slayer, and Anthrax played together for the first time. Hetfield was both scared and excited as he walked on stage to join Mustaine for Megadeth's Peace Sells. He admits, "I was scared he would turn me down." Instead, Mustaine opened his arms in a bear hug, and their guitars were tangled together in a happy embrace. Hetfield says the roar of 93,000 fans was like everyone let out a combined breath of relief after decades of stress. He says with a smile, "We had finally hammered that last chord of anger." Everything changed after that. Hetfield and Mustaine's friendship has grown in small but important ways since then. They text each other song ideas, talk about how their voices are cracking from getting older, and share silly tips on how to get the right tone. Hetfield remembers the proud smile on Mustaine's face when Metallica played Me Death's Devil's Island in 2016. Mustaine was moved by the tribute and felt grateful. Also, Mustaine paid tribute to Hetfield with a surprise appearance at a Me Death show in 2018 and ripped into a blistering solo on Battery as the crowd went wild. Hetfield says that moment was stronger than any song we've ever written. Hetfield and Mustaine no longer share the stage as rivals, but as brothers in arms. each representing a different part of thrash metal's DNA. They've worked together on benefit shows for music education and helped Californians affected by drought. It was Mustaine's ongoing fight with health problems, a spine condition that stopped May from touring in 2019, that Hetfield praised his strength. Hetfield says that Dave's fire is still going strong, and it makes me proud to keep that flame burning with him. Hetfield looks at the old picture of them as teenagers. I see two dreams who didn't take care of their hearts. He says, we learned that lesson too late to save every friendship, but just in time to save ours with unwavering respect and a bond sealed by time and trials. James Hetfield and Dave Mustaine stand as living proof that even the fiercest creative clashes can evolve into lifelong camaraderie. If both parties have the courage to carve forgiveness into rock and steel beyond the thunderous reunion on stage, Hetfield credits Mustaine with having an enduring influence on Metallica's songwriting DNA. Even after decades apart, James notes that several of the band's signature riffs, from the propulsive gallop of Whiplash to the churning breakdown in Dyer's Eve, echo the technical contours Dave first explored. He had this uncanny knack for harmonized minor thirds, Hetfield explains. And that trick slipped into our DNA whether we liked it or not. In early demo sessions for 1980 Sax's Master of Puppets, Hetfield would recall Mustaine's intricate fretwork when crafting his own rhythmic parts, fusing aggression with precision. That interplay shaped my approach to balance muscle and melody. He admits the two also share a reverence for lyrical storytelling. In 1997, when Metallica assembled its Reload sessions, Hetfield found himself revisiting Mustaine's narrative style, the way me death tracks like Holy Wars. The Punishment Due or A Symphony of Destruction weave political and personal themes. Dave painted pictures with his words, Hetfield observes. He shattered the idea that thrash had to be just speed and noise. Inspired by this, Hetfield and Ulrich incorporated more thematic diversity in tracks such as The Unforgiven and Until It Sleeps, venturing beyond scathing riffs or inner demons to tackle broader existential fears. We owe him credit for opening that door. Hetfield reflects their creative partnership extends offstage, too. In 2015, Hetfield invited Mustaine to co-write a benefit single for music therapy programs uniting Metallica and Megadeth alumni in the studio. That collaboration produced Metal for Hope, a raw, urgent track that raised over $4 million for school programs. Working with Dave that day felt like coming full circle, Hetfield says, smiling at candid photos of them trading guitar solos. Fans clamored for a joint tour, but both musicians recognized the true value lay not in box office receipts, but in the message of unity behind the music. Both men have openly discussed how age and experience have reshaped their priorities. Mustaine's ongoing back and neck issues forced him to scale back punishing tour schedules, while Hetfield's own battle with vocal cord injuries led him to rethink set lists. We used to measure time by BD downs, Hetfield notes. But now it's about balance. They share treatment tips, Mustaine's cortisone regimen, Hetfield's breathing exercises via text and video calls. Each recovery milestone becomes a shared victory. Mustaine's first full-me show in 2018 after spinal surgery. He's returned to high notes on 2019's worldwide tour. We cheer each other on, Hetfield says, because we know how fragile this gift is. Their joint reflections crystallized in a recent interview series titled Metal Brothers Unleashed, in which Hetfield and Mustaine sat for marathon conversations about their shared past. Across 5-hour-long episodes, they explored everything from the origin of Metallica's name to Mustaine's darkest hours in rehab. We bared all our scars, Hetfield says, the ones on our hearts and our bodies. Reception was overwhelmingly positive. Fans praised the unvarnished candor and the broader perspective on what it means to grow within a genre that prizes youthful rebellion. For listeners old and new, the Hetfield-Mustaine rap offers a masterclass in creative resilience. Their stories challenge the notion that once two siblings fight, reconciliation is impossible. Instead, it reveals how mutual respect can reinvigorate artistry long past its prime. Hetfield cites Mustaine's recent solo acoustic sessions as inspiration to strip back Metallica's own arrangements, a concept they tested in 2020's Black and Sun performance for live-stream audiences. Hearing Dave play acoustic showed me that raw emotion trumps any amp setting, Hetfield remarks. They've also influenced the next generation of metal artists. At NAMM 2024, Hetfield and Mustaine conducted a joint masterclass alongside members of emerging acts like Spiritbox and The Warning. They broke down classic riffs, dissected tone, shaping techniques, and shared the unglamorous side of touring maintenance, late-night calls home, and the importance of mental health checks. Hetfield praises Mustaine's uncompromising standards on stage presence, while Mustaine commends Hetfield's melodic intuition. Teaching side by side felt like we were mentoring our own teenage selves. Hetfield laughs. Looking ahead, both men express eagerness to push boundaries. Hetfield hints at a Metallica-Mustaine co-headlined festival focused on emerging thrash talent, while Mustaine teases a joint documentary exploring the evolution of heavy music worldwide. The world's changed, but the core energy remains. He grins. At 61 and 63, respectively, they continue to prove that late-career collaborations can echo as powerfully as their earliest chords. Through unwavering loyalty, their bond stands as a testament that even the most intense creative conflicts can evolve into enduring collaborations. It is proof that metal's soul resides in the friendship that fuels every riff. Their story continues to inspire fans worldwide. While the world debates who forged the sharpest edges of thrash metal, James Hetfield and Dave Mustaine have spent recent years demonstrating that legacy can be built on more than just blistering riffs and commercial success. It can be founded on mutual respect, shared purpose, and the courage to evolve. At a private, intimate gathering at San Francisco's historic Fillmore Theater in early 2024, Hetfield surprised Mustaine by delivering a speech honoring the guitarist's resilience and artistic vision. Dave's voice cut through my own doubts, Hetfield told the audience. Without him, our music would have lost half its fire. Mustaine graciously accepted the praise. Cameras documented an uncommon instance of genuine emotion. Two icons reconciling previous wounds and embracing future possibilities to observe in the years following their Red Rock reunion in 2011. Hetfield and Mustaine have integrated their experiences into philanthropic initiatives that extend beyond band affiliations. During the 2020 wildfires that devastated Northern California, Hetfield's All Within My Hands Foundation and Mustaine's Guitars for Vets collaborated to raise more than $400,000 to support displaced families and first responders. The joint benefit concerts included unexpected appearances by both artists, whose harmonized introductions and collaborative solos transformed a somber evening into a celebration of community unity. Music possesses healing properties, Hetfield stated. However, service solidifies the connection. Behind the scenes, both icons have discovered comfort in fatherhood and family life, frequently sharing with one another the pleasures and difficulties of parenting. Mustaine, whose daughters Electra and Justice Berry have become essential to his creative sphere, routinely communicates with Hetfield regarding adolescent milestones, first dates, academic challenges, and emerging interests. Hetfield, whose son Castor considers the advantages of studio work more favorable than the adrenaline of live performances, relies on Mustaine's expertise in managing long-distance relationships between touring parents and their small children at home. We exchange advice regarding the appropriate times to send a message, make a phone call, or simply allow the relationship to develop naturally. Hetfield chuckles. These private conversations have served as a vital support for both men, strengthening a fraternal connection founded on mutual respect for family and craftsmanship. Their musical collaboration also continues to develop. In late 2022, Hetfield extended an invitation to Mustaine to collaborate on composing a track for the Metallica Blacklist tribute album. The outcome, a subdued acoustic interpretation of Holier Than Thou featuring Mustaine's distinctive guitar embellishments, provided supporters with a moving reminder that grief and forgiveness can coexist harmoniously. When Metallica's Motor Breath is performed during encore segments, Mustaine often positions himself on a riser to perform alongside Hetfield, his deep, guttural vocals blending seamlessly with Hetfield's signature snarls. These collective moments, formerly the subject of speculation, now serve as the foundation for 2 decades of reconciliation, each electrifying performance reaffirming their unity. Their fellowship extends into the realms of health and wellness. Both musicians have faced the gradual physical consequences of a prolonged practice of headbanging. Mustaine's persistent spinal stenosis and Hetfield's vocal cord nodules. In 2023, they recorded an authentic episode of the YouTube series Mental Health Check, featuring breathing exercises incorporated into warm-up routines and meditation techniques. Supporters inundated the comments with appreciation, commending the duo for clarifying the arduous challenges of seasoned touring life. If James is able to meditate between riffs, as one viewer observed, then we may also be capable of addressing our own exhaustion. As 2025 begins, both individuals are assuming mentorship duties in different yet complementary manners. Hetfield's mentor and residency program at his Los Angeles studio annually selects two emerging songwriters to collaborate with him in co-writing and recording demos, providing an insider perspective on lyrical composition and melody development. Mustaine's mentorship is demonstrated through his weekly G4V seminars, where he instructs veterans on music therapy techniques, utilizing tremolo arm sweeps and harmonic minor scales to facilitate therapeutic exercises. In 2024, Hetfield traveled across the country to serve as a guest instructor at one of these clinics. An unanticipated visit that left graduate-level therapists impressed by his modest approach to healing through harmony. Their public trajectory of reconciliation culminated symbolically in September 2024, when Megadeth headlined a special charity concert in Copenhagen and invited Hetfield to join them for a powerful performance of Tornado of Souls. As the Danish audience rose to their feet in a standing ovation, the two guitarists linked arms beneath the spotlight. An image disseminated worldwide as conclusive evidence that time and perseverance can transform even the most intense rivalries into lasting friendships. Looking forward, both individuals harbor aspirations that reflect their adolescent ambitions while being rooted in seasoned perspectives. Hetfield alludes to a pared-down EP featuring folk-inspired arrangements of iconic Metallica compositions, while Mustaine hints at a memoir collaboration addressing the human toll of creative conflict. They also contemplate organizing an annual retreat for musicians and mental health professionals, a secure environment where metal enthusiasts can acquire coping strategies during collaborative jam sessions. Hetfield explains that we aim to share the teachings we have learned through difficult experience. If anguish and pride once motivated our music, now empathy and experience will steer our legacy. In the end, at 61 and 63 years of age, James Hetfield and Dave Mustaine have demonstrated that the most intense flames of metal can forge enduring bonds that last a lifetime. Their narrative, initially characterized by fractured trust and broken aspirations, now stands as a testament to resilience, redemption, and the transformative influence of music. As their instruments lie adjacent on stage, a final refrain reverberates throughout arenas around the globe. True fortitude resides not in the precision of a riff, but in the bravery to reconcile and forge a new path. After 5 years of rekindled friendship, James and Dave have become collaborators in pursuits that go beyond simple melodies and stage illumination. In early 2023, Hetfield and Mustaine jointly established the Metal Unity Foundation, a nonprofit organization dedicated to offering music therapy and creative scholarships for at-risk youth. The foundation's premier initiative, Metal Minds, combines guitar instruction with counseling services at community centers within the local area. Hetfield recounts visiting a location in Detroit where an adolescent individual, previously inclined toward street violence, learned to redirect their aggression into palm mute rhythms. Observing her discover her voice through distortion pedals reaffirmed the reason why we embarked on this voyage. He states that Mustaine, in his capacity, contributes by conducting songwriting seminars, encouraging students to address personal challenges through lyric composition and the use of harmonic minor scales. Their collective impact has transformed Metal Minds from a pilot initiative into a nationwide network, currently serving more than 50 cities. Offstage, Hetfield and Mustaine possess a shared interest in equipment and tonal quality. In 2024, they partnered to create a limited edition signature guitar series, the Forged Alliance, crafted by a boutique manufacturer. Each instrument is equipped with custom transducers designed to blend Metallica's powerful low end with Megadeth's pristine lead tones. At the launch event, Hetfield and Mustaine stood together, evaluating prototypes at a rapid pace. Supporters queued for hours to observe the duo synchronize their tremolo arms, their seasoned features illuminated by broad smiles. Hetfield marvels that at 61, his fingertips continue to effortlessly snap power chords, while Mustaine remarks that despite scars from decades of dive bombing, his hand still accurately executes every lick. The instrument was sold out within minutes, with the proceeds allocated to the Metal Unity Foundation Scholarship Fund. Their discussions frequently centered on the future trajectory of metal music itself. During a producers' round in Nashville last autumn, the two discussed the future direction of the genre. Will it represent a resurgence of intricate time signatures reminiscent of early May classics, or a simplified revival characterized by primal, hook-driven anthems? Hetfield advocated for melody, referencing contemporary bands that integrate metal with musical elements and attract broad audiences through streaming platforms. Must engage with the advancement of technology by introducing AI-driven composition tools that compel guitarists to create increasingly complex passages. Their spirited exchange, documented in an upcoming documentary, highlights a collective conviction that metal continues to be a dynamic art form, requiring both reverence for its pioneers and a bold approach to innovation. Mentorship continues to be a fundamental element of their enduring legacy. In mid-2024, both artists will participate in a week-long session at the annual Metal Summit, an intensive program designed for collaborative musicians and emerging producers. Hetfield conducted sessions on vocal preservation, imparting breathing techniques refined through decades of arena performances, while Mustaine emphasized the significance of lyrical craftsmanship and demonstrated how a single word selection can alter a song's emotional trajectory. Students produced demo recordings and received personalized feedback that could solely be provided by two pioneers of thrash history. An aspiring guitarist subsequently contacted Hetfield, stating, "Your instruction on palm muting profoundly impacted me. I finally feel acknowledged." Later, Mustaine expressed via Twitter that witnessing youthful musicians perform harmonized thirds evoked in him the same enthusiasm that originally motivated him to pursue shredding. Their collaboration has also transcended genre limitations. In late 2023, Hetfield extended an invitation to Mustaine to collaborate on the co-production of an experimental metal orchestral piece for an acclaimed video game soundtrack, combining orchestral strings, industrial percussion, and double bass pounding. The composition gained widespread popularity within gaming communities. Hetfield observed Mustaine smile as the final mix was played, recognizing that once fierce competitors could now collaboratively produce cinematic soundscapes. The collaboration received a Grammy nomination for Best Score Soundtrack, representing a first for both artists in that category. As they accepted the nomination jointly, Hetfield remarked, "I never imagined I would be sharing an envelope with Dave Mustaine, but here we are still causing a stir, this time accompanied by a few additional violins." Looking ahead, the two discuss an educational web series in which they analyze classic metal albums track by track, providing behind-the-scenes insights and musical commentary. Tentatively titled Metal Masters, the program seeks to elucidate the intricacies of composition, recording techniques, and the collaborative process that previously caused division but now unites them. Both parties concur that disclosing the unglamorous hours of experimentation, error, and reconciliation will enhance followers' appreciation of their craft. Hetfield contemplates a concluding chapter entitled Forging Forgiveness, while Mustaine proposes concluding each episode with a riff duel sampled from their earliest jamming. In all endeavors, the core of their relationship remains enduring. Two musicians who discovered that creative tension can ignite brilliance, yet like-minded connections produce an even more profound harmony. At 61 and 63, James Hetfield and Dave Mustaine continued to compose new verses for a composition that originated on a confined garage floor many decades ago. Their story, woven into every chord, solo, and shared vision, serves as a reminder to the world that the passionate fire of youth can be tempered through the grace of forgiveness, and that the most lasting legacy is not found in broken guitars, but in hands extended across the stage of reconciliation. As they contemplate a career extending over 4 decades, James Hetfield and Dave Mustaine acknowledge that their collaboration surpasses musical innovation to represent a wider cultural reconciliation. The chapters of estrangement, rivalry, forgiveness, and collaboration demonstrate how two artists can transmute personal divisions into a collective legacy that motivates admirers across generations. In every riff and solo, they embody the principles of wrath moderated by mutual respect and humility. Their upcoming projects feature the highly anticipated Metal Masters series, which will document the creation of iconic tracks through in-depth demonstrations of songwriting, recording, and performance techniques, complemented by personal conversations held at kitchen tables and backstage lounges. They seek to elucidate the creative process and reconcile the divide between established legends and emerging talent. Guest appearances by contemporary artists and behind-the-scenes anecdotes are expected to make each episode a distinguished showcase of musical craftsmanship. Beyond the studio, Hetfield and Mustaine investigate methods to enhance mental health support for musicians. Their collaborative retreat planned for late 2025 will convene composers, therapists, and industry experts in the Colorado mountains for sessions focused on wellness, creativity, and resilience. Participants will engage in panel discussions, collaborative jam sessions, and guided mindfulness exercises centered around acoustic performances, emphasizing that artistic passion thrives when supported by sound practices. On the philanthropic front, Metal Unity Foundation continues to award scholarships to low-income music students, while Guitars for Vets broadens its initiatives to include songwriting retreats and instrument repair services for military families. Hetfield intends to visit injured veterans at a hospital in Washington state, presenting custom-tuned pedals and personalized recordings. Mustaine, for his part, collaborates with rural education initiatives to facilitate guitar-building workshops in underserved regions of the Southwest, ensuring that the next generation can both preserve and innovate upon heavy metal traditions as they reflect on their adolescence. Both individuals recognize the marks they bear. Hetfield's voice continues to reflect the residual effects of extensive touring, while Mustaine's hand retains the memory of each dive bomb that approached too near the fretboard. However, these very imperfections serve as a reminder of their determination to maintain their pace. At 61 and 63, they regard maturity not as a retreat, but as a foundation for revitalized vitality. Their concluding chapter may still be forthcoming, but one truth remains steadfast. The most intense energy of metal originates from the profound act of forgiveness. Their progression from disdain to unity provides a model for any artist confronting division. Conflict may cause division, but reconciliation fosters unity. As they perform on stages across the globe, their collective voice reverberates through every note. The genuine strength of metal resides not in the riffs that shred, but in the souls that beat in unison beyond guitars and stages. Hetfield and Mustaine recognize that genuine influence derives from embodying the principles they advocate. Their continuous lyrics explore themes of aging, mortality, and the pursuit of meaning beyond the confines of mosh pits. Recent Megadeth tracks, such as Cultic, examine spiritual transcendence, while Metallica's Lux Ada indicates a resurgence of youthful exuberance. In both instances, the melodies reflect a shared truth. Creativity thrives when cultivated through trust and a common purpose, even in the face of conflicting schedules, health limitations, and accumulated resentments. Hetfield and Mustaine remain in communication through weekly calls, festival gatherings, and casual text messages that say, "Check in, amp." Very well. These straightforward queries reaffirm a bond forged through decades of mutual triumphs and challenges. Each response holds greater significance than any platinum record because it signifies, "We remain together." At the 40th anniversary of Metallica's Boomtown performance in 2025, Hetfield honored Mustaine with an onstage acoustic rendition of Nothing Else Matters. They lowered their instruments, positioned themselves before a single microphone, and sang in harmony, the steel string chords resonating like pulsating heartbeats. At that moment, the audience observed not merely a reunion, but rather a culmination. The influence of forgiveness expressed through melody and harmony. As they re-enter the forefront, their intertwined voices reflect the resilience of a genre founded on intensity and introspection. Evidence that at ages 61 and 63, James Hetfield and Dave Mustaine redefined the meaning of brotherhood within the metal community.